What is up, guys? It's Verns back here again with another Supercoach video. This time we're going to be jumping into the midfielders for, I guess, my favorite midfielders, premiums, mid-prices, and rookies. Hopefully you did just watch the Defender series and we can slip on straight into this, nice and easy. But I do appreciate you all for being here, especially those that do like and subscribe for the consistent injections of Supercoach content directly into their YouTube feed. Now, for those that are also interested, I did mention in the last video, so sorry if it's sounding a little bit repetitive to those, but a bit of housekeeping here. Feel free to come ahead and follow me on Twitter as well. I'll throw it in the description, as well as joining our Supercoach Hub Discord. I am, for those that have been following the journey, a part of the Supercoach Hub and being part of their AFL I guess content for this preseason and will be for the ongoing season. So we do obviously have a Discord there. Me, Scopes, and Joshy all been helping out with that. So feel free to jump in, put some questions in there, and we can hopefully help. As well as we are doing a consensus team that I think will be a lot of fun for everyone. So jump in there, put your vote in for the players that you want, and then I'll be making a team before the start of the season. So I won't be specifically on my account or anything like that. It will be with Dr. Kando, who'll be doing that for us, who runs the Podmasters, but obviously I've got that all set up for us, so please just jump in, put in those votes, and then we'll hopefully make a team that everyone is happy with. Now, awesome, we will be jumping into the midfielders, and oh my goodness, there is so many midfielders to choose from. It's so tough. I mentioned the last video, but I love the diversity in this season. It's not as simple as it's like, okay, clearly we're starting Bomb, we're starting Green, and then like the rest, it's not really a big deal. There's a lot of diversity. Yes, it sucks that we do have these bye games, so it does sort of sway us towards those that have more games in the total overall season. But I still think there's a lot of good players to choose. There's a lot of mid-prices. There's so many good rookies as well that are around. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm so keen for it. But we will jump into it, starting off with number one, obviously Marcus Bontempelli. You want to lock in a nice, safe captain option, someone that's maybe going to be 650 at the absolute lowest point. Good chance he maybe doesn't even go that low, but you want to lock in 130, nice and easy, premium player, consistent scoring, someone that's as safe as houses, set and forget. Bontempelli is your guy. Yes, you're obviously paying a pretty penny for him, but if you do have a bit of extra money, which I'm finding myself to have some extra money because of all these beautiful rookie and mid-price value options, it's why not jump on Bontempelli? If I'm sitting there with 750k and I get one more premium midfielder to choose, why would I not choose the best guy out of them all? So yeah, I love Bont. Gonna be a great pick. Oliver, obviously a bit interrupted season. Laird, didn't really like his game on the weekend. Now, unfortunately, excuse me guys, sorry. I know if you have watched my previous videos, you know my philosophy on players that are missing a game because they have an extra bye. Because obviously they play open round, they have an extra bye. I don't really want them in my team. Like, no offense, but if I was to be starting a Christian Petrarca who plays one less game than a Bontempelli, than a Zach Merritt, than a Liberatore, why would I bother starting him? Why would I not just choose someone I think's just as good but going to play one extra game? Like, it makes no sense to me to start Christian Petrarca. So I'm going to be dodging basically every single open round player. That's just how I am with these premiums. Like, for you to be a viable open round player, you have to be someone that's valued significantly, like, under your value. Like, you need to be super undervalued, like underpriced, and super value, basically. So that was a terrible description of it, but you get what I mean. Like someone like, let's just say Brody Grundy, 480k, we think he's good enough to be a 630k player, can probably play at a 110 average, but priced at like 88. Why would I not start someone like that at the end of the day? Like, it doesn't matter that they're going to miss a game because they're playing so significantly far above that average. Worst case scenario, they're making me cash. Best case scenario, they're a keeper for a steal of a price. So yeah, I'm not really picking any high-end premiums with an open round buy. You need to be probably at least a mid-pricer for me to consider you, and you need to be a really, really good mid-pricer. So we're going to jump on down. Zachy Merritt, I thought he was still pretty good and someone that's completely viable as a pick. He's usually a bit better after his bye. He does come a little bit online a little bit earlier last season, so maybe he'll come online a bit earlier this season. May have Fin Mag round 1 though, so I think he's probably in a void just because of that potential tag threat from round 1. Number 3, we're going to Tony Liberatore. Obviously, it's Tom Liberatore here. Gosh, he is so good. I'm trying to find so many ways to have Libba in my team, and I keep going down from Bont to Libba, but then I also want Bont, and oh man, I think, once again, Libba's someone with a true average that's much closer to like that 120, 121 average. He got knocked out on 20 at the end of the season. In reality, you take that 20 out of his game, it significantly boosts his average. So in reality, we are getting this guy for cheaper than what he can do. I think worst case scenario, he's going to do what he's priced at, and best case scenario, he gets a 5-point buffer than what he's priced at. And what we saw in this practice game is he hasn't changed from last season. His role hasn't changed. It doesn't look like age has affected him. He looks just as good as he was last season, and he's someone I want in my team so badly. And on top of that, what a pod. Like, look, I usually don't care too much about pods, because I think if you just build the best team, you're probably, like, that's what you want. You just build the best team. You shouldn't be picking a pod, going out of your way to pick a pod just because they're a pod. Like, you pick the best players that you like, and if they end up being a pod, that's great. That's a bonus. Because 9 times out of 10, not even 9 times out of 10, like, basically guarantee you that out of all the different iterations of teams that can be had, and then different captaincies, different trades throughout the year, you're not going to end up absolutely mimicking someone week in, week out that you had the exact same team all season. It's just not going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter if you have the same team at the start of the season. Who cares? Maybe you tie for a round 1 winning. You still get $2,000. Like, who cares? Like, great, 2 of you got it. It doesn't matter what your initial team is. There's going to be so many iterations as the season goes on that it doesn't matter. So you just need to pick the players that you think are best. But yeah, as I said, he's also a pod, which, look, I've wanted him so bad all preseason, and yeah, I'm so keen to honestly get this man in my team. Jordan Dawson also, what a good game from him. He was in cruise control. He didn't play high minutes, but he looked very good. And it's hard to take much from this Adelaide versus West Coast game because, well, West Coast basically a VFL's team and anyone can beat up on them. But Dawson, he didn't play much CBAs, which will be much higher in the regular season. He was in cruise control. It was very easy for him. I honestly think he's once again going to be a superstar, so very happy with him also in your starting team. Zach Butters rolled an ankle. We'll need to monitor that for round 1. Make sure he's still playing in round 1. I would expect him to play, and I'd still expect him to be really, really good. Luke Davis-Uniacke, oh my goodness. I can't tell if he just didn't care because it was a practice game or if he's just not the guy. Like, he was not the guy against St Kilda at all. I think so many people have aborted this pick real quick, and I am with them. I mean, not only does he hold a high injury risk, if his floor is as low as 30, like, what the hell? We ain't touching you. So yeah, I ain't touching LDU anymore. He's gone from me. Sarong and Brayshaw, I think everyone knows how I feel about them. I'm just not too sure with this mix. They not only have, obviously, Hayden Young in there now, they have Fife running through there, which affects them. Brayshaw gets pushed a bit more outside. I think it also takes away from Sarong's contested ball. And then they also have Matty Johnson, who's looking really good. Like, that guy's looking really good. So I just don't have a read on these free on midfielders, and I'd feel a lot more comfortable picking them up later on in the season when we have a better read on them. So right now, no, I'm not touching them. And then we're sort of dropping out of the top 600 range, and once we're out of the top 600 range, I'm going to say they're no more really the uber premiums we're picking. So if you're picking uber premiums, these are the 5 that I like, and I think you guys would be pretty happy to be starting with in our team. Now, outside of Uber premiums, I think we have some fallen premiums. I'm only going to add 2 to this list. We obviously have Touk Miller, and we have Jack Steele, and then anything below 500k we will add to the mid-price list. But Touk Miller and Jack Steele, they're not your Uber premiums, starting-wise. Could they be your Uber premiums at the end of the season, though? Oh my goodness, that is a great question here. Now, the only reason Miller is slipping into this team is because at the end of the day, I think he could have keeper potential even while missing a game. So that sucks. But hey, if I'm paying 100 less K from Liberatore for someone that maybe puts out the same impact as Libba or Dawson, that definitely justifies missing the 1 game. So I think Touk could be a really good pick. That saying that Rao was really bad and so was Flanders. So when they're playing bad, is that just because they're playing bad because Miller's doing so well, he's eating up some of their scoring, or is he playing really well because they played really shit? You know, like, what's the reason that Miller went so big? So at least we have the open round to check out Miller, see what he does, but yeah, I don't mind Miller as a fallen premium pick. Then we have Jack Steele. I know Dr. Supercoach, JB, put out that he hated Jack Steele as a pick, and it might be because he got burnt really hard from Steele last season, then he hated the ride. But Steele's looked really good in back-to-back Supercoach preseason games. And once again, is he someone that could be as good as these 650k premiums, but you're saving 100k on the price tag? And unlike Took, you're not even getting a buy game for it. So, oh man, he is a big question mark too. He is a huge one that I think it's so hard to not look past. So, yeah, these are my favorite premiums to choose from, guys. These two, obviously, a little bit of a cheaper price to get them at. And I think if for some reason you'll fall into a situation where you need to pick a premium that's 550k or less, you're looking at these two. And I just realized I missed one. This is why I probably should have made notes. I didn't make notes today, guys. Jai Newcomb as well. Is this unsustainable? 37 touches. 37 touches and he only put out like a 127, I think it was. That's... Oh, I don't know. That's iffy. And I think what we're hoping for with Jai Newcomb is we're hoping for just natural progression. Because with him, he's still got the same role. It hasn't changed at all. He's the same player as last season role-wise. We're just hoping for him to be better than he was. So we're hoping for natural progression to push him into this top echelon of players. I just think it might be a bit unsustainable for him to put out 37 touches for a 127. You know, if he had 37 touches and he put out like a 160, 170... oh man, that would have looked so hard to get past. But 37 for like not even a 130, I'm pretty sure it was. So I got fan footy to the side here, so I'm just going to quickly double check to make sure that was the case. And he did beat down on the Dogs last year, so he definitely has a habit of beating down on them. Yeah, 125 in fact. 125 Supercoach of 37 touches. Now look, this comes with an efficiency of 67 and 5 clangers. Oh, God, yes. 15 contested, which is really cool. But, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's a bit unsustainable. I feel like if he's someone who's getting that many touches and not scoring... You know, he's scoring less than what Bont and Libba did. And they had less touches than him at the end of the day. So, you know... I don't know. I think that just feels a bit unsustainable for Jai Newcomb. If you went there, I'm not going to tell you not to go there. I think I like Steele more than him, though. So I would go Steele over Newcomb. But, yeah, these are the guys that I think, if you picked any of these guys in your team, I'm not going to tell you not to start them. As I mentioned, with Took, obviously we get the open round. They have a bit of a better look at him as well. So hopefully he sort of ups it from there and really screams pick me. If you're interested in him, that is. Hopefully he plays well enough to scream pick me, and he makes the rest of us sit there question if we need to pick him. If he has a down game, I'm probably going to stay away from him. I don't know. It's one of those things where we can't get sucked into these open round scores. Why did they get these scores once again? But yeah, definitely a big watch for the midfield. So let's clean this out. We're going to be looking at the mid-prices now. So these guys that are 500k or less, and oh my goodness, 500k or less, more than 250k. Oh my goodness, there are so many good picks in this price range. And that's what makes it, I think, so hard to go for a Steele or a Newcomb or a Took. Because why not just pay 50 to 100k less and get these absolute premiums? We're going to start off by throwing them straight in. Nick Martin, boom. Matt Crouch, boom. Carl Amon, boom. Now these guys, they're all around the same price right there. Nick Martin playing that seagull role. He's going to get defensive DPP. He could be a defense keeper. Carl Amon playing that defensive distributor role, seagull role. He's going to get defensive DPP. He could be a defensive keeper. And that's a huge difference there as well. That increases their value significantly. Because not only do they need to put, you push to 650k to really be a midfield keeper. If you're much lower threshold to be a keeper in the defense line, if you can get that 105 to that 110 range, you could be a keeper there. And I do think that these defense keepers, there maybe could be, as I mentioned, like 10 of them that go like 1.5 plus and are good enough. I just wonder if maybe we get one of these guys to like a 105 average, and maybe we end up with a sideways on their buy or something, where we flip them to someone else who we think's close to that 110 average. Just a little bit of a points jump at the end. But yeah, there's so much value on these two guys for that reason. And I guess the third guy that we're going to throw into that exact list, while I'm talking about them, I can't not talk about Max Holmes as well. Falls straight into that list. He's playing that seagull behind the ball roll. He's going to get defensive status, and he could be a defensive keeper. Oh my goodness, those three players all look delicious, and I don't know how I can't start each and every one of them. Unfortunately, they're only midfield, so then it really log jams my midfield for picks. And as I mentioned, really log jams that defensive 105 to 110, I think, keeper range. I think there could be a lot of guys in that range. But yeah, there's so many good midfielder options here. Matt Crouch was so good again. Didn't even play a lot of game time. Yes, he got a really good score because we had scaling in his favor. But man, he looked good as well. He's someone that I don't know how I'm gonna start without. Also, like, there's just so many good options here. As I mentioned, these guys have at least a defensive keeper status, but I think Crouch could be just as good as them. Maybe end up as maybe a midfield keeper, or at worst case scenario, a buy-flip midfielder. And it's, oh my goodness. Why there's so many good options this year. It's so hard to choose them. If you did watch me last year, you know that I went crazy with the mid-price madness. And I'm scared I'm going to be doing it again a little bit. Because last year I went Bont, Tom Green, and then I went like, what did we go? We had Ash, we had Nass, we had Warple, we had Hopper, we had Setterfield, and we had like Ashcroft. Like, we went crazy with the mid-prices last year, and it's so hard to not do it again this year. I mean, last year we did finish on 317 as an overall rank, so it worked out pretty well going crazy with the mid-prices. But I did mention in my previous video, it's actually a year that's better suited for going for these guns and rookies sort of strategy. So I don't want to get too carried away with the mid-prices, but when these mid-prices could be potential keepers, how do you not pick them? How do you not pick them? They're so good. Sorry, got to stop just jamming on about that, but man, these roles elite. Their price elite. What they could do elite. And I guess there's really a few other players to quickly look at here. We have, I guess, Horn Francis gets thrown in there. Wardlaw can get thrown in here. And then the last one I'm going to actually be throwing in is Matty Johnson. We obviously mentioned him before. Now, I guess the big difference with these guys are they're not playing the defensive role. These guys are all sort of midfielders. Horn Francis and Wardlaw are big bulls. Horn Francis had a good game this week, but that's what butters out of the side. And I think something to take... Oh, sorry. One more player I need to add here. I guess I can't forget him, or people will probably rage at me. Where are you? There you are, Ollie Wines. Now, the problem with the Port Adelaide midfielders that played way above their price tag is that Butters rolled his ankle and didn't play the game. They all would have had elevated CBAs, elevated opportunity to get the ball because Butters not eating into their points. And yeah, they had great games, but once you factor Butters into that, I think it takes away a bit from them. They're not my personal picks, I think, with these first four that I mentioned being just too good to look past, but I wouldn't be unhappy with you grabbing a Wines or a Horn Francis. They have the good buy as well. You can easily flip them at that buy down to maybe a Dunkley or a Neal at that stage of the season, so could be still really nice picks. Wardlaw falls in the same category as Horn Francis, where he is a big bull that needs to run through the middle, but he has huge injury concerns, and we're sort of hoping for natural progression here. He had the role last year. Yes, Simkin sort of moved more into the forward line, so he's maybe going to have more elevated CBAs, but we are hoping for him just to be better in a second year. And I don't know if he's going to explode in that second year. People are sort of looking at him as a Clayton Oliver, where his second year, all of a sudden, he was a premium. So I don't think that's the case, but yeah, the kid's good. I can understand why people are all for it. Look, me personally, I would chop these guys out of... I'm not against you choosing them, but they're not my preferred picks. And then Matty Johnson. This might sound weird because I know he's not highly owned by a lot of the community, and he probably flew under the radar a bit for people. But he was really, really... Yeah, 0% owned. He was really, really good. He was really, really good. Once again, someone that if you look at his game, he got like a 70 77 or something like that. Maybe I think it was 73 Supercoach, and people are going to look at that and be like, oh, 73, that's not really that good. I mean, at his price, I mean, that's technically good enough for his price. He's priced at 54. It's like, the thing is, he did that in 57% game time. Like, that's super impressive that he's done it in such short game time. He looked really good. Honestly, for anyone that's running Fife in your midfield, flip it to Matty Johnson. Flip it to Matty Johnson, no cap. I like Johnson better than I like Fife, 100%. He looks so good in that role. And look, it's just very hard with these Freo midfielders to really have a gauge of what is really happening. But I loved what Matty Johnson did, and I think he's actually a viable pick. Unfortunately, once again, we have so many good options in the midfield. Who are you cutting? First of all, you got to cut one of these premiums to maybe fit in all these mid-prices. You got to cut some of these good rookies. It's so hard to make that decision. But yeah, I thought Matty Johnson was really good, guys. And not someone I would sneeze at, and I would be happy to see him in your team. Also a little bit cheaper than others, so if you end up in this awkward situation where you're sitting there with 300k, you think the 29 players that you have in your team are perfect, absolutely perfect, but you've got one spot left in your midfield and you're sitting there with 305k or 330k, Matty Johnson is your guy. No joke. No joke. Yeah, definitely a good one, I think, there. I think a lot of these guys all fall into the forward category, so we're going to ignore them. But yeah, they're the mid-prices that I think I would be happy to see in your team. And I would definitely consider passable mid-prices. Now, jumping on down to the rookies. We got to put this guy in our team to start, and it's... This screams trap to me. It screams trap. He's priced at 50. He only really needs to go 60. He went 115 in a game that really you can't gauge. It was against West Coast, and they were nothing. They were so irrelevant that Adelaide ran over them. I think Sam Berry is unfortunately the 23rd guy on this list. He could be a sub-risk, and I don't like him as a pick. I think he definitely showed his premium level scoring, and I think everyone's going to be sucked in by that and be like, man, if he goes back to that 500k that he is such value, and I agree with that, but I think he is one bad game away, or Adelaide having a bit of a bad run, from him getting put straight back to the sandful. I think that's a high possibility, and I can't personally start him, and I don't think you should either. I think it screams trap to me. I think there is definitely potential for him to go bananas. I think there's better potential for him to be a fucking premium than Fife. Sorry, usually don't like swearing in these, but I think he's got better potential than Fife, honestly. But yeah, Berry, I think he's a trap. Yeah, it's a rough one. Colby McKercher, once again, he's priced at 40, really needs to go 60. Yeah, he went 55, and everyone's like, oh, nah, he's not as good as we thought he was. He has a premium role at the end of the day, guys. If his floor is 55, that's not too upsetting. That's not the worst case. Because we know he'll probably have quite good scoring throughout the season, just because he's got a premium role. That premium role means that he's always going to have a high floor. 55 maybe is the lowest he's going to go. And it's just a good role, so... It's hard to look past him when you have such a good role. So, yeah, he does definitely need to be picked up, in my opinion. Riley Sanders looked really, really good. Also, they did run over Hawthorn, though, so I don't know if he's going to be that good every week. Yeah, and I think he's really good, though, and it's hard to not pick Riley Sanders in your team. Hustleweight, same thing. I mean, both these guys are really good. It's hard to not pick them. They're sort of awkwardly priced, and there's so many good mid-prices that in a lot of situations, I think one of them's sliding to M9, unfortunately, and you're paying this elevated price for an M9. It doesn't feel good doing that, but they look like they have the roles, and they look like they're good enough at this age, so it's hard to look past them. Once again, I wouldn't be unhappy with these guys in your team at all, and I think they're pretty good picks in reality. It's just so hard with so many good mid-prices. Sliding down, Matty Roberts, really good, looked really good in the role, but they were missing Rampy, they were missing Lloyd. Once those guys come back, does that force him into the sub role? Potentially. At minimum, it affects his scoring, so his scoring probably drastically drops, and he maybe ends up in a sub role. So, Matty Roberts, I'm not for it. I mean, we'll have open round to assess it, so he's a big watch this space on open round to see what it's like. Right now I'm not for it, but I can definitely be swayed with a good open round performance. Lloyd and Rampy back in the team, he still has the role and he still performs, premium. Like an absolute premium, so I'll definitely jump on him if that's the case, but at least we get the open round to have a bit of a cheeky look at him. Falling down to more just mid-onlys. Jeremy Sharp wasn't bad. Jai Clark wasn't bad. Ware wasn't bad. So we'll throw those three in there. I think those are a lot of people's benches, at least two of those three. Sharp, not bad. He's got that role locked down. He's at a price where like 50, 55 is like good enough for what he can do. It was just a bit unfortunate that I think he started quite well and then sort of faded out of the game. But once again, if the ball's not on your wing, what are you meant to do? So his role isn't as good as Jai Clark, who, oh my goodness, he looks elite. He has to be starting for us. There's no doubt in my mind. He is on everyone's bench at absolute minimum. 47% ain't good enough. I understand that we're being a bit weary because it's a Geelong rookie and we know what Geelong do to rookies, but I think he is a genuine gun. They are going to run him. He has got a great role, and worst case scenario, you sit him on your bench and he just makes you money. So yeah, I think he's a steal. Jacob Ware wasn't bad either, had a good role. People are screaming that he might be a little bit of a trap. I mean, we have open round to assess him, so we'll look there, make sure he's best 22, make sure he's got a role, and make sure he's not a sub-risk, and then we will judge it from there. Midfielders only. I think they're only the real midfielders. Oh, I guess Clay Hall didn't play in the practice game. Obviously, I think hurt himself. Did he play? I don't even... Let me check. Okay, and we're back, guys. Sorry about that. Just accidentally clicked on, I think, the classic button up here when I moved my mouse, and it threw my actual team on the screen, and that is for another video, so didn't want to spoil that for everyone. So let's have a look here. Did he end up playing? I don't think he did. What's his name again? God, I forgot his bloody name. What's your name? Hall. Hall is your name. Yeah, no, he didn't play. I didn't think he played. Yeah, so I think he obviously got injured. Don't know if he's going to be playing. I think we just cross him off the list. And that's going to be all the relevant rookies that we have here. So once again, any of these guys in your team I wouldn't be too unhappy with. Sam Berry, as I said, I think is a trap, so I think maybe move him out. I think these are the 6 I'd be happy with seeing in your team. Any one of those iterations. Now, you don't want to pay up too much on the bench, so maybe only one of the 180 guys on your bench if you're going to do that at all. But yeah, Matty Roberts, obviously, watch this space in round 0. But yes, that is my favorite rookies, mid-prices, and premiums in the midfield. Once again, I appreciate you all for sticking around to the end of the video, liking and subscribing for your consistent injections of Supercoach content directly into your YouTube feeds. But I will be catching you shortly in the forwards video. So I'll catch you then. Oh God. Let's just be awkward while we end it. Peace. Later.